sick. That's bad.
This is combat culture.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're from. This is the one and only, the inimitable Oche Young Jollof Edache. If I can do the magic on the screen now, I should be able to get my name to pop up. Or, you know what? This is what we like to call technical difficulties. So let's hide this. And then I need to get my face. Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to get. Yeah. So I am Oche Young Jollof Edache. I am your host of the evening. Of course, this is Combat Culture Africa. I was informed the last time that I didn't give the social media shout outs. So I'm going to do that now. We are Combat Culture Africa on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're also combatcultureafrica@gmail.com. So if you want to ask us a question, you want to know what we're all about, you want to have information about the fight industry in Africa, the combat sports culture, the combat story that is evolving from Africa, send us an email at combatcultureafrica@gmail.com. All right. So that's it with the social media call outs and everything. We have an amazing guest on the show. This may be the episode of the show I have been looking forward to the most because it kind of features everything this show is about, which is regular people really going out there and doing the most extraordinary things. So without further ado, I will be adding to the show the handsome Luke Leyland, aka Dan Bature Kudua. Oh my days. We just had a power outage. Luke, you know why this is beautiful? Because it showcases the real struggle that comes with living in Africa and trying to do anything. And so if you just give me one moment, I will turn on the power and this show will be back on the road.
Not a problem. They say if you say Dan Batori Kadawa too many times, the lights go off. So maybe that's what's happened there.
You're a powerful guy.
So they say. No, but do you know what? I'm absolutely I'm a fan of this show, and I'm just made up to be on the show. I've watched it, and yeah, I'm happy to be on and answering questions. So thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's an honor because meeting you in person really set. I had to have you on. Like once I met you, I just had to have you on. I'm gonna let you speak for yourself. So everyone who is watching, we have 2 viewers. I just want to say shout outs to all of you. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to come watch us have this beautiful conversation. I am speaking with Luke Leyland. He is also at Luke Leyland1 on Instagram. He is also known more recently as Dan Bature Kudua. Now, thank God the power didn't go off then, Luke. But now here we go. I just want to tell the people a bit about you. You made history recently by competing in the sport of Dambe underneath the African Warriors Fighting Championship banner. To those who don't know, Luke competed against Shagon Yellow in the main event of the King of Dambe event held in Katsina recently. He came up short. However, it was the spirit behind what he did that shone through the most. Luke made history by being the first non-Nigerian to be inducted into a Dembe house. This Dembe house is called House Kudu, and that's why you can see on the screen right now that he has Dan Bature Kudua on his name. I think Luke is an amazing guy. I think Luke is really interesting with an amazing story to tell with an awesome perspective that I'd like to pick apart. And it's just amazing to have him on the show. Luke, say something for the people at home.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me on the show. I've had probably one of the most amazing times in my life over in Nigeria, and yeah, I can talk about it for hours. I've got stories for days, so I don't know if we can cover every story on this at the moment, but yeah, I love talking about it. It's one of the most best experiences I've had. Like, so yeah.
I like that, man. I like that. You're setting the stage perfectly. So, all right, we're going to hop right into our agenda of the evening. And ladies and gentlemen at home, you can see it on the screen. Who is Luke Leyland? Luke, tell the people at home.
So I am Luke Leyland is a guy that was brought up on martial arts movies such as Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, all the old school movies. And my family, or specifically my dad, was very interested in keeping myself and the family either fit or just being able to look after themselves in some way. So growing up, we were a close knit family, and there was always some sort of challenge between our family as to who can climb the side of the door quick enough, or who can, I don't know, like who can beat who in a race or anything like that. So growing up, looking at sports and different types of sports was always going to be in my future. And it was never we were never raised to be like, make sure you were the best at this sport or the best at that sport. It's make sure you have a go at this sport and make sure you have a go at that sport and just see if you like it or not. And that's exactly what we've did. Growing up, one of the first sports I remember being involved in or one of the first combat sports was Taekwondo. Being involved in Taekwondo, I was very young. I think I was around 10 years of age, I think. Um, and yeah, I was there for about a year, and we had a tournament, got involved in a tournament in Taekwondo. I lost because I used a hook. The referee said you're not allowed to use a hook and deducted the points, which led to me losing. And from there, I got involved in a physical conflict in a park a couple of years later, and I felt like at that time Taekwondo wasn't for me in that particular scenario. I moved on from that and eventually found a martial art that was a little bit better for me. I think every person is for a certain martial art, and for me it was grappling or wrestling at that time. And yeah, that seemed to help me in certain in certain situations of conflict. So I was very interested in professional wrestling as well growing up. I was a massive fan of what was called the WWF, but now it's called the WWE, and I was just a huge fan, as well as just learning how to ground wrestle on the floor or amateur wrestle. I was learning professional wrestling as well with a tutor called Dean Allmark, who's famous in the UK. He's a famous UK wrestler and one of the greats. So he taught me how to wrestle professionally, and also he learned me a few amateur moves as well, which always seem to be better for me in physical conflict situations. They seem to help me out a lot more than any other sport that I found. As well as doing that, I was also involved in a little bit of boxing, although I never competed amateurly or professionally in boxing. I'd had a lot of spars. So with that and the wrestling, they were the two that really seemed to help me out in some situations. And yeah, from there, I just became addicted to all sorts of combat sports, really, and seeing how they worked in different scenarios and seeing the type of people that was involved in them. I just became addicted, and I'm one person that believes in a destiny, and one person that believes that you can create your own destiny. And most recently, I proved that can happen, and yeah, I'm just a very humble person, a humble guy, and open to new ideas, and just a person who definitely believes in destiny.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, you hit on quite a few things there. All right, so the first one I'm curious about. You mentioned physical altercations at least twice in those scenarios. Did you work at a bar? Is there a story behind that? Or did you have what happened? Why was Luke fighting so much in the streets?
No, well, it wasn't about to the area I'm from. It's just a general thing that generally happens. The area I grew up in is it's got a lot of good and a lot of bad, like most areas. And when you're growing up in the area that I was from, which is Birkenhead, which I'm proud to be from Birkenhead, and I do love. As I said, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and sometimes when you're out and you come into contact with other kids from other different areas, there's sometimes verbal conflict and physical conflict. So I was one that was never the local champ or anything like that, but I always wanted to figure out, well, what's going to help me in these situations. I never adapted to Taekwondo that well. But I thought, what can help me out in these situations? And one that did help me out in them situations was grappling. Grappling helped me out quite a lot. Local boxing techniques helped me out quite a lot, especially my guard and movement. It wasn't just down to me causing trouble or anything like that. It was just it's just a culture, if you like, in certain areas, and that's what it was like for me growing up. It wasn't all the time, but it was there every now and then.
Okay, and when you say Taekwondo didn't quite deliver for you, can you elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, so I believe that every martial art, every person belongs to a martial art. It's just for me, I didn't belong to Taekwondo. That was all. And I'm not knocking the sport. It just I didn't adapt to it that well. In my life, it just didn't work for me. But I believe it works for so many people, and I do believe people should find out more about it and take part in it. But it just wasn't for me. But what was for me was grappling, and was knowing another human's body a lot more than them, and how it moves a lot more than them. That really helped me out in some situations and helped defend myself and look after myself.
I can attest to that. I picked up martial arts in, so this is 2024. I picked it up in 2019, so just about five years now, getting to 6 years. I started with boxing, so traditional boxing, and I trained with some of the best minds in that I had access to within my city of Abuja. And then I transitioned from boxing to wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I'll tell you this, I didn't start to feel powerful until I started doing wrestling and BJJ. With boxing, I always felt like the other person had a chance. I always had to be defensively responsible. But with wrestling, and then when you now layer on the Brazilian jiu-jitsu element as well, and because once the other person doesn't know what you're doing, they're screwed. They have no
Yeah,
counter. There's nothing. There's no natural instinct that will save you. There's in fact your natural instincts serve to impede you at that point. And so I can totally relate with what you say about wrestling and grappling. Feeling more at home with those arts when you started training in them.
100%. And by no means I'm world class or anything like this. I only know a very few basics. So even with a very few basics of them sort of holds and stuff, gave me a little bit of that power to be able to say, you know what, I'm all right now. And when my tutor Dean Allmark said, you will be able to be the most average person now in the street, I was like, wow, really? But again, I was very basic, and just even the basics helped me out. So, by no means I'm a professional or anything like that in certain holds. But as I said, the basics
Look,
got me through a few
look, you're a
stints.
really humble guy, man. You're a humble guy, and I think that's one of the most amazing things about you. But just to put a little nice red bow on top of that, I think people underestimate the effect training has on the average person. If you give the average person 1 month of consistent boxing training, they'll be able to beat most people in the streets. They're just better equipped, and it keeps getting more and more refined the higher you go up the ladder. But even so, if you tell me you trained with someone and they taught you just a few holds and they said you can beat the average person in the streets, I believe that. I really do. With the average person, just with a few tools, if they just understand how to use a few tools, they can beat most people just in a regular altercation, if you ask me.
100%. And it's not only even the holds; it's about like the sufficiency of energy and like your breathing and when to breathe a little bit faster or how to breathe a little bit slower, and when to tense up, when to not tense up. Little things like that, man. They're the key building blocks to getting to where you need it to get. It's a physical game of chess, isn't it? So
Yeah,
I love
you're
it,
right.
man. I'm still addicted to it now. Like, so it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I can hear it in your voice. It's nice to meet someone who is just passionate. You don't have to be the best in the world. You just have to love it and just be able to give just a bit of yourself to it every day, and it'll give back to you in excess rewards. That's what I've seen.
100%, man. 100%.
All right. Okay, so Luke, let's not get too carried away, which is something that happens on this show a lot. Like we just start talking and we just lose track of what we're supposed to be talking about. So this is the perfect segue. Since we were just talking about boxing and we're talking about wrestling and all of that. Question number two: why Dembe?
So the first time I'd seen Dambe was it was on a YouTube video, and it was on an African Warriors Fighting Championships video. And the first time I'd seen it, I thought it was a scene from a movie, and I thought, what movie is this? And then when I realised it was real, I thought, what kind of crazy underground stuff is this? And then when I looked right into it, I thought, hold on a sec, this is some like serious stuff, because the drums, the sand, the crowd, and you can tell by the fighters. I thought, what is this? And then when eventually I was hooked straight away. When I eventually found out more about it, I was like, this is not just a little get together and a fight. This is something bigger. And then I found out more about it and started studying a little bit more about it, and then I was hooked. So I wanted that experience, and I think it come from obviously years ago of, as I said, like being brought up like with my dad saying, why don't you get involved in this, or try get involved in this and just have a go. Um, it was just that, and I thought, I wonder if somebody outside of Africa can have a go at this, because I said it a few times. I believe life's currency is great experiences, and that looked like an experience that I wanted to be involved with. So yeah, eventually I got in touch with African Warriors, and eventually they put me in touch with Maxwell. And my first question was, so can anyone outside of Africa take part in this? And he didn't say no. He didn't say no, and I thought, I expect him to say no straight away, and sorry, we're not interested. But he started asking me a few more questions, and I can tell he's really trying to find out about me. And later on down the line, and now what I come to know is he wanted to make sure I was the right person for it. You can't just walk into this and just have a crack at it. You really have got to approach it with respect, and go through it properly. And that's one of the things that we wanted to do. So when I found out the history of Dambe, that it's been going for over 1,000 years, and the magic behind it, and what the lads are fighting for, and this is ancestral, not it's not just a one-off thing. It's something that is deeply rooted in history. I thought, oh, wow, this is something I've got to take part in. So yeah, I got in touch with Maxwell, and we had a couple of meetings, and then eventually, yeah, we come to an agreement and a date, and history was about to be made.
Yo, I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Yo, okay, so the first thing I want to hit on is respect. That's something that is so key. Respecting the culture, respecting the rights, respecting everything about it. And I'm going to give you kudos here, give you some props, because I like to judge people based off of the quality of their actions. And something I observed when we were in Katsina, I came in a little late, but I mean, I saw enough to create an opinion, was that you were so respectful. You were respectful of everything. You made sure you were on time. You made sure you were present. You made sure you were available. You greeted people. You bowed your head. You shook people's hands. Like, you interacted with the locals. You took pictures with strangers. And even the first time I met you, I just walk into the restaurant in the morning trying to get a cup of coffee, and I just see this guy sitting down. I'm like, hey, are you Luke? And just like, yeah, I'm Luke. And I'm like, hey, I'm your commentator. Like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
be
yeah,
friends. And
yeah, man.
so I have to give you props there, because a lot of people come here and they kind of forget that when you're in Rome, you need to do like the Romans, or in this case, when you're in Nigeria, you need to do like the Nigerians. And people just want to come and wash everything and make it as commercial and dialed down as possible. And that'll only get you so far. It won't get you legacy. It won't get you history. And that's what you succeeded in doing.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I mean, my idea and Maxwell's idea and AWFC idea was not only to just compete in Dambe, but to go through everything that the fighters went through. That was one of the things I said in the tunnel at the end, and people were dead shocked that I didn't want to come over there with a different style, or let's see if this style beats that style. It's not about that. It was going over to experience the culture, to experience the combat sports, to experience the people around it, and that's one thing I wanted to do, and just have a go in Dambe as a Dambe competitor, and whatever the Dambe fighters went through, I wanted to go through, and um, I done that, and it gave me a sense of the culture and the history of it, and that's just amazing to me. Like maybe to some people, they might see that and go, "Well, that's too crazy," but to me, it's very important. And yeah, I'm made up and went through it all.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're a crazy guy. You're a crazy guy. I can say that because I'm crazy too. I recognize crazy in the mirror. Like I know crazy. So I'm gonna hop right into question number three, which is you came into Nigeria, you experienced the culture that you just pointed out, you met the people, you did everything, you got your hands wrapped, you got yourself inducted into a Dembe house, you fought, you got the love and adulation of the people, and now you're back home, regular old Liverpool. And I'd like to know, man, what were your thoughts on Nigeria, especially now that you're back?
Yeah, I can only give my experience over, and my experience was all I received in Nigeria was nothing but love. Like from the get go, people just love me, and like even nowadays, like I'm still sitting here at home thinking, I wonder why. And like going into the fight beforehand, after the fight, everyone treats me as a one. And even messages still on my phone now. There's hundreds of just love from all over Nigeria and in some other countries as well. And I'm just like, wow, man. So, going out like deep into Katsina on the verge of the Sahara, there was people there just, following the bus I was on and just waving and just wanted a conversation or a picture. And I'm like, wow. And it's, that they give me energy, and people like that, and just that the whole event and the whole experience will live with me for a long time. As I said earlier, I believe life's true currency is great experiences. And what a great experience I had there. In that sense, I'm rich, man. I'm rich.
Bruh, you're the richest man alive in some sense. And the only person that sense needs to make sense to is you. That's the only thing that
100%.
matters. I respect that 100%. And you know something that you said, right? Which is you highlighted it earlier. Oh, I hope it didn't slip my mind now. Yeah, you know, you said that you took up professional wrestling, and you know, wrestling. A big part of professional wrestling, to my limited understanding, is about showmanship and understanding the energy of the audience. And it's not something just anybody will understand and appreciate. Not everybody will understand the beauty behind professional wrestling, and it's not for them. But those who do, they know that it's a real art form being able to do all of that live. It's like a rock performance. It's like people are playing like Jimi Hendrix on the guitar live. He can't make mistakes. Everything he does is part of the performance. And that's my main appeal for professional wrestling. Why am I bringing that up, Luke? I'm bringing that up because you're clearly built for it. You love the energy. You're a competitor, you're a performer, you're an entertainer. And some of the clips we'll watch at the end of the show will even further showcase that. And I feel like it's the perfect. If you said you said it earlier, you create your own destiny. In that sense, you just created the perfect storm of your personality, what you love to do, and then just this beautiful sport that is largely on unpublicized in West Africa. And you just came, and it was just because I could see your face. You were really into it. You were a Dembe athlete, you're a Dembe fighter. And even up till now, your hands. You want to show the people your hands before we move
Yeah,
before
yeah,
I
man. It's still
yeah.
I can't get it off. So I've had a lot of explaining to do to people, but I wear it with pride, man. Like even to the day it goes off, I'm wearing that with pride. So yeah, but I can't get it off. They did warn me that it was going to be about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
yeah, okay. 2 weeks. I thought it would be way longer, to be honest. I thought it would be a couple months at the very least, to be honest.
I'm happy to have it on for a couple of months. It's a badge of honor for me.
Yeah, man, forever, forever. Take as many pictures as you can.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about Nigeria, right? And you said all you experienced was love. I need to cap that as well because I know the this is why I don't watch the news personally, but it's because the negativity up there is just a little too high for me at this point in my life. My blood pressure needs to stay low so I can focus on combat culture and meeting amazing people like yourself. So I don't watch the news. And one of the things I love about your experience is because you have your own personal narrative. You don't need
Mhm.
to read a newspaper. You don't need to go check some blog or some Instagram channel. You came to Nigeria, you met the people, and this is your perspective. People treated you with love because you came to become one of them. And I feel like I need to shout you out for that because it's beautiful. I saw it happen. I saw the kids, I saw the ladies. Well, not ladies, but I saw the people, let me put it that way. And yeah, it was inspirational, Luke. Well done.
Oh no, thank you. As I say, it's I can only go off my own experience, but you are right. It is the me. I think it's two things. I was speaking to Maxwell about this, and I said I think it's two things, and I think it's ill education on an area, and I think it's media influence that really creates people's thoughts on things. Um, there's certain parts of Nigeria where to be a white British tourist, you had to be very vigilant, and that was always in my mind. Obviously, it's going to be in um, when I'm engaging with that with them people, and we're all like kind of cheering together. It just goes out my mind, and my energy was there, and I was with them like yes, and oh man, yeah, I'm almost there again. You'll have me raving on the, you know what I mean? But so yeah, it's one of them. It's just I think it's ill education on the area and media influence.
Mm.
Um, but it's I think it's Katsina, Kano, Lagos. They've probably all had certain bad times and certain good times and stuff, and they've probably all got good and bad people. It's it's like that all around the world. Some places have a lot more troubles than others, obviously, but I'm just glad I've been there, man, and I've experienced the
Mhm,
people.
mhm, mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, 100%. So you did Kano, you did Lagos, you did Katsina. So do you want to walk us through that? Just to give us a quick walkthrough. What was it? What did you do in Lagos? How long were you in Lagos? What did you see? What was the energy in Lagos like for you? Then Katsina and then Kano. Then we'll hop on to what your thoughts on your performance were.
Yeah, so we started off in Lagos. It was generally just that's our starting point and meeting point to meet the. Obviously, we had a bit of a team to drive us there and get us over to Canu, and it was just basically a bit of a briefing, really. I asked for a basic like a schedule, so I know where I was, what I was doing, and also so I can inform my family as well, because this was just a crazy idea to people at one time. So we wanted a schedule. We wanted to know where we were going to be at what times, and um, that was kind of a meeting point. And then we went from there to we flew over to Kanu, and Lagos is the weather to Lagos to Kanu is different. In
Yeah, night,
Lagos,
night
it
and day,
was
night and day.
yeah, man. It was like Lagos was very humid, warm, obviously, but humid. Kanu was dry heat, and it had something there called. I think obviously you'll know a lot more about this. Hammer time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
am I right in saying that's where the sand it becomes quite light, and
Yes,
then the wind picks it up, and it's quite
exactly.
foggy.
It's
Man,
just
that was
it's
an
the and
experience.
it's close to the desert, it's close to the desert.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
because it's close to that, it's so hot all through the year. Lagos is
yeah,
just it's covered, is surrounded by water, and then like it's Lagos is just moist, it's humid.
yeah,
But Kano on the other hand, like Katsina, all that those places are dry all through the
yeah,
year. Like
yeah.
you're not struggling with any swamp areas or anything over there.
Yeah, I mean, Canny was amazing. It was almost like a different country to Lagos for me. It was, and so we went over to Kano and done we've done a bit of media in Lagos, but we also done a bit of media in and around Kano, really, just to advertise what was going on and let people know who it was and what we were going to be doing. And we met a few people, a few commissioners of places, and just to let them know this is what we plan on doing. And then eventually we went over to Katsina, which again, it was like a different country. The heat as well was just a lot more, I don't know, it was just a lot more dry, if you like. And again, we're more closer to the Sahara there. So yeah, it was just a completely different country for me, but I enjoyed all of it. And then that's where I met up with a coach. We went over it. We went to the arena a load of times, and as soon as I went into that arena, this is going to sound really weird, but as soon as I was in that arena, I felt at home. I thought I've visualized this so much. I've been here so much in my mind. I'm comfortable, and I didn't want to leave there. I would have slept there if I could. Honestly, I could just feel that had been there. It was awesome, man. Awesome. So yeah,
how did you deal with mosquitoes, man? Did mosquitoes assault you in Nigeria?
I lost my case. So this is one thing. So going to Lagos, as soon as I got off the plane, I was waiting for my case, and it wasn't there. So the airline that I was with lost my case, and I was like, oh, what's going on? So everything that you can imagine was in my case. I only had a backpack. So I don't know how much time we've got on this show, but honestly, I could tell stories all night.
Yeah.
So everything that unravelled a chain of events for me losing my case. I had everything in there, from my toothbrush to me underwear to me gum shield, fresh clothes, my malaria medication, everything. I had so I was just like, right, and it only became more and more important as the days went on. I thought, hold on, I'm missing this. Hold on, I'm missing that. And I was just like, oh no. So that caused a couple of down days for me, really, mentally, because I thought, this is how I'm going to get everything together, because we had such a bit of a schedule on the go. I didn't want to be the one to stop everything and say, well, hold on, I need this, I need that. But these things were so important, and I only realised that when I needed them. Yeah. And it was a pain. But we, just thanks to African Warriors, and a lovely lady called Aisha, who was running around after me like a busy bee. She collected a load of stuff for me, which I'm really thankful for. But yeah, so we made all that journey just with a few items, and eventually I got the majority of my stuff. So with the mosquitoes, there was one moment. Well, there was a couple of nights in Katsina where we got to our kind of last place before we started going back. And overnight, I realised that I didn't have my medication, and I thought, am I going to get malaria here or something? I don't know what's going to happen. And I kept hearing overnight, zzz, zzz, and I was like, oh no. And that was baffling me head. I thought, like, am I going to be able to make this fight? Because I thought, oh, I'm going to be ill in a couple of days. My head was gone, man. I thought, what am I going to do? So I like sleep under the cover. So I was like this. I couldn't sleep. And then the next day, it was just, yeah. So I got bitten a load of times, but thank God, I feel fine. And this has been, I still got like little bumps and lumps all over me from the mosquitoes, but I feel fine so far. So yeah, we end up getting some medication eventually, but yeah, it was the mosquitoes were a terror, man. They were, every time I heard zzz, I thought, this is it. I'm gonna be ill. I'm gonna be ill. It was just my fear.
I'm sorry. Like, I'll tell you a really quick story. Just before this stream, I made a cup of tea, and I was like, okay, I'll be sipping this as the show goes on. And I have this hot cup of tea in my right hand, and I'm trying to sit down on this very chair, and the mosquito just starts flying really slowly off the table. Now, a bit of context. In Nigeria, we spray our houses with insecticide. Like, they come in little metal jars, and you spray your house once every week or once every 2 weeks, and they keep the mosquitoes at bay. Look, I sprayed this house yesterday. So the fact that there was a mosquito just casually flying up the table, I was so pissed. And being the martial artist that I am, I jabbed the mosquito with this left hand, caught it with my hand, and I made sure I saw its dead body in my hand before I sat down and did this show. So yeah, that's my mosquito
That's
story of the evening.
that's some Bruce Lee stuff right there, man.
We do a lot of training, like secondary school in Nigeria, which is what like Westerners would call high school. They basically just send you out into the middle of nowhere, and it's like you're just locked up in what you call a school. I mean, you get an education. It's just that you get an education both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. There's bullying, there's all sorts of things. So mosquitoes and being able to kill mosquitoes with your bare hands, even flies, it was a skill because you have nothing. All you have is your school uniform and your soap and whatever it is you use, your books. But you don't have anything to protect yourself. So you would use your bare hands to kill mosquitoes. So now I can do it in my sleep, to be honest.
Do you know, like that night, as I say, when I realised I've got no malaria medication or anything, I thought, like, I don't usually like killing stuff. I kind of just get rid of it and just forget about it. But that night, I was going around, I was swinging for everything. I had my pillar, I was going for it, man. And then at the time, my opponent was a different opponent. At the time, I thought, you know what? He's getting it for all this. He is getting it for all this because, like, I was just terrified of the mosquitoes, man. I was like, what's going to happen to me now? Am I going to be able to fight? What's going to go on? So, yeah, scary times.
Scary times, my bro, scary times. But something I find interesting. So my fiance is Egyptian and she comes to visit me. So she has a completely different skin tone from me. And the mosquitoes, like I believe mosquitoes have like a taste, they have a preference, they have like cuisine, it's fine dining for them, humans. They don't just go for anyone. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
always just attack her when she's around. But
yeah,
funny enough, she never comes down with malaria. But then she always has malaria medication. So I guess it all works out in the end.
yeah.
Okay, Luke, we're getting carried away again. All right, so I'm gonna one what a viewer just asked, and I'm gonna show it on the screen.
Yeah.
Don't know if this has been discussed, but I'd love to know if Luke found Dembe more or less technical than he had imagined.
A lot more technical than I imagined. And the reason why is because I thought, well, as you could have seen, the kicks. I thought if I throw a couple of kicks in here, it's gonna really shake Shagon Yellow's kind of game plan, and then hopefully I can come forward with a couple of punches. Now the way he moves on the sand, the way he came forward and threw his lead hand into my face to then throw, just his mindset, everything was. I thought, yeah. Afterwards, I thought if I was to do this again, it would require me living the life of a Dambe
Mhm.
fighter for quite a period of time. So yeah, it's not just about going in there, wrapping your hand and throwing digs. It's a lot more technical than I imagined. Now, I didn't come into this just thinking uh, it was easy. I knew it was going to be hard, but you only know how hard something's going to be after you've took part in it. Like so,
Brilliant answer to that brilliant question. All right, so we're gonna still touch on that, but I don't want to get us to get I don't want us to get too sidetracked. What's that? Because that's the perfect segue into our next question, which is sitting before me now, Luke Leyland from the beautiful city of Liverpool. You've had 2 weeks, and some change maybe to think about the whole performance. Now I'm talking about your fight. You've told us
Mhm.
about the love you received from the audience and the beautiful people of Katsina and Kano and how amazing of an experience it was. But now we're going to talk about the fight. What is your honest assessment? What are your thoughts on your performance?
Yeah, I think I think there was a part in there where I defeated myself. But in all, his experience beat me, and it's I'm just made up. I shared the sand with a true warrior. Um, I'm not a fan of hindsight. I always tell me close friends and family about I don't believe in hindsight because what's the point in sitting there saying I should have done this, I should have done that. I can sit here and say, if I hadn't have been for this, I would have been better. If it would have done that, I would have been a lot better. My honest thoughts on it is, I went in there, I had my best shot at it, and I was beaten, and that is as simple as it is. But I'm respectful in victory or defeat, and I do look back at the fight, and I think, do you know what? I could have given him a front kick there. I could have just composed myself a lot more. But there is a big part of the fight where I do think I defeated myself, and that's because
Please
just
elaborate
because of
on
the
that, because you said it earlier. Please go deep on that.
yeah. So if you look, there's a couple of parts in the fight. If you look at the first time I fell, that was I understand in Dambe that you can attack from behind. Not a lot of sports you're allowed to do that. So the first time I threw a leg kick, sorry, the first time I missed a leg kick, I went to spin completely round. Now, in that moment in time, obviously my heartbeat's going, my mindset's going. I'm in front of 8,000 people plus, and in my mind, I turned very, very slowly. And I thought, if I don't turn quick enough here, he's going to come behind and probably put an end to my night. And he had every right to as well, because I would have done the same to him. So as soon as I turned round, I felt like I was turning really slow. So I mid turn, I was like, turn faster. And as soon as I turned back round, I was unsteady on the sand, and I just went down and thought, why am I down here? And I thought that there I should have just settled, spun round, and got regained my balance and went again. Towards the end of the fight, I'd actually put my hand on the floor, I think another 2 times, and it was because I put more than I needed into the punches that I thrown. As you can see towards the end there, I came over with a hellish haymaker. It just missed his face by a couple of inches as well, and I'd overshot, and that brought me down. And then I come back up again, still ready to fight, blocked a few, and then threw again, which again brought me down. So in that aspect, I feel like I defeated myself. I could have been a lot more calmer. But given the event, given the stage, given the historical meaning to me, you can see it meant so much to me. And I almost feel like I kind of tried too hard, to get this win and bring it home. But inevitably, the main thing was his experience beat me, and he was one hell of a fighter. So that's my thoughts on it.
I think that's a very fair assessment, to be honest. From the outside looking in, I think your thoughts earlier where you said that you would have to train in the and live the life of a Dembe fighter before your next bout. I totally agree with that, because there's a
100%.
kind of conditioning, your ankles, your calves, your knees, your hamstrings, everything, hips, everything needs to get from just running in that sand and throwing in that sand and moving in the sand every single day. I think that would really help with your balancing and positioning and even timing, because your first shot, I think I agree with you where you said it was a real haymaker. You put everything you had into it. But then I believe with a bit more experience, you may have just thrown that with 70% and still regained your balance and still been right there. But that just comes with experience and timing. And since we're only looking to the future, kudos to you for even making that attempt in the first place.
Well, it was something that I thought was necessary there. I could feel the fight was going his way. I'd already been down once. I'd took about three smacks off him and that rope. And although I was still standing, you don't want to take too many of them smacks, man. You don't want. I've seen one of them take multiple Dambe fighters out, and I'd already took 3 at this point, and I was going back, and I couldn't step back anymore because I would have been out of the ring. And I thought, he's not put me out the ring. I'd rather him put me down and put me out the ring. So I just thought, just battle him. And my intention was never to go down. It was just to keep fighting. But obviously, I'd over-egged the 2 haymakers, and which it put me down. But it's just one of them. It's if, ands, and buts and all that sort of stuff. But no, I just enjoyed it. Even though I lost, I enjoyed it.
Of course, and ladies and gentlemen at home, I think we should highlight that's the whole point of all of this. You're trying to have fun while living your life. You're trying to do the stuff that makes you happy. And at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is that you did what you said you were going to do. Like, you have that on you for the rest of your life. No one can take that accomplishment and achievement away, and that's it.
Well, 100%. I mean, I enjoy all the comments online, and there's many, many, many comments online. There's only a few negative ones, which I'm surprised. A lot of them are positive, which and lovely and beautiful. Some of the messages I've got, like, I've saved, and they're amazing. But some people believe that I'd just gone over because I thought this was I've gone. I was intentionally went to go over with my own style. I went over without going through to see the Malam, and that I thought this was going to be easy. None of that was true whatsoever. I knew I was going into his world, into his back garden. I knew this was going to be the fight of my life. I really knew that. So I was just trying to do the best that I could, and in my mind, I thought, come on, just fight as hard as you can. And in no radio station or an interview beforehand, you'd hear me say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'd always say, I'm aiming to win, but I'm going to try my best out there, and I am aiming to win. That's what I said, and I meant it with respect, and I knew this was going to be the fight of my life. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well done to you, Luke. Well done to you. Something that you need to that I think people forget is you can't come into the Dembe sandpit and say you want to do Muay Thai. I mean, you can, but you would
It's
be
not.
at a
It's
severe disadvantage.
no,
It's different. Everything is different, and I don't think people should underestimate that. To be honest, I don't think they should.
absolutely not.
Yeah. All right. So let's hop right into the next one, which is, how's it been since you got back home? I mean, like, I imagine you might not be Conor McGregor level famous, but at least your friends and family must like love you maybe 2 times or 3 times as much now. So what's that been like?
Yeah, well, to be fair, it's been a little crazy. There's people that uh, are seeing what I've done, and some people start going like, "Oh, you're a bit of a legend round here now," and this, that, and the other, and it's like, okay. See, to me, I've always like visualized this. To me, this is just what I've seen so many times. So it's weird to me that people are only just seeing what I've been telling people. But it's until you do something and then show people, then their kind of perception of the whole thing starts to change, and that's weird to me. I've since being home, yeah, there's the people that are most important to me haven't changed. They knew what I was going to do, and they believed in me that I was going to do it. So that's the most important thing to me. There's people outside my circle that are like, "Oh my god, man," and they're coming over and trying to get in contact and that, and I'm just like, "Look, man, if you didn't believe in me beforehand, then don't believe in me now. If you believed in me beforehand, then stick with me, keep watching."
Mhm.
But yeah, I've generally got a real problem with society. The society where I'm from tells you that you're meant to be happy living in a place that you don't like. You're meant to be happy being with a person that you don't love. You're meant to be happy in a job that you hate. And I just disagree with all that. And this is why I say you can create your own destiny, because I don't want to do that. So why should you have to do that? Create your own destiny, go out there, do what you want to do. And even if you fail, then at least you've tried, and no one can ever
Mhm.
fault you. And that's what I
Mhm.
truly believe. So coming back home, my family knew what I was going to do, and they still support me just the same. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, I can relate with what you just said. Okay, so I'll give an example. I I'm in a position now where I've had to grow so much in the past couple years just by virtue of my environment. And there's a part of me that I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I wish that life could be more comfortable sometimes, but at the same time, the way I overcome that is by saying, but look at how much stronger you've become.
Hmm.
Now, in my head, this journey started maybe like 8 6 7 8 years ago, when I was like, okay, I want to turn my life around. I want to like develop my body. I want to build some new skills, learn martial arts. Then along the line, I was like, I want to do a podcast, and I was saying, oh, I want to work with MMA broadcasts. I want to do commentary. I started doing commentary. I said, I want to do analysis. I want to do all this. Now, I've done all of that, and I'm right back into my living room now, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do my own thing, and I want to tell my African story to the best I can. This is my contribution. The people who have been consistent and constant at almost every point in the journey up until now, though, I think now things have changed because I'm not really trying to compete with anybody. I feel like I really know what I'm meant to be doing at this point in my life, and this podcast is one of them. You see, even being able to talk this certainly about my life, I get alienated so much that I don't even bother anymore. Like, I just know that the way I view the world is so vastly different from the way the person right beside me might, and that's okay. my
Yeah,
society too tries to force feed you through the funnel of being a doctor, an engineer, this and that. You have to act a certain way, talk a certain way, live a certain way. And I've always been a bit of a rebel myself. It's just like I always really wanted to know there's a whole world out there. I'd like to see it. Is that really a crime? It doesn't matter where
yeah,
you're born. You should be able to take one foot in front of the other and work towards that goal if that's what you want. And that just so happens to be what I want. I want to learn from as many people. I want to learn from as many cultures, as many martial arts, and just learn as much as and talk to as many interesting people as possible,
yeah,
such as yourself.
yeah.
So I can totally understand when you say you're surprised that people are just seeing you now and they're like, "Whoa, like why did you do like I'm surprised you did this." Like when you in your mind it was already a done deal maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So I get it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's. I always like, if people don't want to do things like that, that's fine. People live their life how they want to live it, and I have no problem with that at all. But like sometimes, I like it's hard to be around. This is not against normal people, but for me, it's hard to be around normal people. I like to look for the future, man, and think, okay, what can I accomplish next? Because the last thing I want to be is on my deathbed, and I wonder what would have happened if I would have done that. Now, like, and the way I'm going, it's going to be, what, I've had a go and I'm just happy with my life. And I think the
Yeah,
people that
man.
you keep around you is like soil. The people that you keep around you is like soil, and the better the soil match to you will help you grow into a massive tree. And that's what I think. That's just the way I view things, man. And maybe that's the craziness that has led me to do all this. I don't know.
I respect crazy people. I think like we so like there are some words I hear used and I just start to wonder why that word is being used as opposed to maybe something that is a little bit more succinct and sophisticated. So you just hear someone to say you're crazy. It's like why would you say a person is crazy? The definition of
Yeah,
that word doesn't mean what you think it means in this context. Like I'm not trying to fit into whatever definition you're putting me in. Maybe I'm doing something you don't understand and maybe that's okay. Maybe if we have a conversation about it, you might understand why I'm this way and we might figure each other out a bit better. But yeah, so crazy, genius, all those words, I don't use them in my vocabulary. I'm just like, nah, like just let that go. Like there's that you don't just try and give the person the respect of trying
yeah,
to
man.
understand what they're doing. That's what it is.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, everyone's different, and it's whatever journey they're on. I've met like people that like look at my journey and they're like, no, I'm happy just sitting in and doing my own thing. In fact, one of my best friends, he doesn't want to get involved in anything like this at all. He's totally the opposite. He just wants to relax and stay in, and that's totally fine, man. It's I still love him. It's just that I want to do something else. I want to travel the world and create history.
Thank you. And it's also really important to point out that in doing this, you're giving you're giving the opportunity for this beautiful martial art to just have as many just to shine. It has so many beautiful aspects to it that people are
Oh,
completely ignorant to. And just the fact that you could come in, be welcomed, and be part of the entire experience. It wasn't just the fight, you experience the culture, you experience the people, the food, everything. I think that's
yeah,
so beautiful. Every time I think about it, that's the thing that comes to my mind. I'm like, yo, this guy and African Warriors and Shagon Yellow and all these guys, they made history. Like I hope they really
yeah.
understand that this has never been done before.
No, 100%, and a big shout out to, like, I think part of the fans loving me was they've seen me on either social media or the news or something, and a big part of that was African Warriors Fighting Championships. If it hadn't been for them, I wouldn't have been on that platform for the people to see me. So they're a huge part of this whole thing. They are this whole thing. So I've got to thank them just for putting me there for the people to see me. And yeah, they're such a massive part of this, and I've just made up that I've got a chance to work with them, and Shagon Yellow as well. I've got to say as well that, like, after the fight, I was appreciated so much by the fans and the media and all that sort of stuff. But I think he deserved. I think he deserved the same, man. He's just beat me. He deserved the fans. He deserved the media. He deserved to be on the news and all that. But for some reason, I don't think he quite made it there that night, and I don't really know why that was. But he definitely deserved it. His name's just as much as history in mine. So as mine. So yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, just as an addition to that, the winner of the main event over my guest today at the King of Dambe event in Katsina was none other than Shagon Yellow. His name should probably be etched in stone somewhere on some monument because he really made history. He
Mhm.
represented the actual true. Luke came in on his terms, trying to learn things on his soil. He represented what it was actually about. And to be honest, man, we can't. I don't think we can give him enough props, man. Shagon Yellow, props to you.
Can I just say as well, this was like 2 or 3 days, I think. I may be wrong. I may be a day or so out, but this was 2 or 3 days before the actual fight as well. It might have been longer than that. I'm not too sure, but I was originally meant to fight a fella called GB Sander, who was a
Yeah.
champion and very popular. And then next thing, this other lad comes in, Shagon Yellow, and he steps in, and I seen him. I seen him the moment he was told because I was trying to give him a little bit of stick over something that had happened, and he just went, okay, and looked over, and then that's when it all started then. So he's
Mm.
took it on his on just on a limb like that, and went out and just said, okay, let's do it. And there was a lot of people doubting him, as well. Even a couple of his own his own boys, his own people, his own crew were like, oh, I don't know who could win this. And he stayed mentally strong, and even through the fight he was mentally strong. I tried to get in his mind a lot. And even times I thought I may have done it, he stayed strong, and especially the closer to the fight it got, he just mentally strong. So props to him, man. He deserves just as much as, if not more than myself there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the thing you were doing that I appreciated was that you were fainting a lot. You don't see Dembe guys faint that much typically. And you could see that you were getting reactions from him at the start, but he quickly adapted. He quickly
Yeah, yeah,
adapted. The adaptation was really
mellowed.
rapid. And I even noted down the broadcast as well. I was like, this like he really downloaded the
Yeah.
feints and the formula as quickly as he could. So man, Shagun Yellow, props to him, and I'm looking forward to calling more of his fights in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can get him on. I mean, I don't know if he'd be interested to get on your show or anything like that, or maybe get something going like that for him. But he definitely deserves something. But he very quickly became comfortable, and he was just so comfortable on that sand. I can only compare it like, like a shark in the sea. That's their world. That's what he was like. That's what he was like on that sand. So yeah, it's one of them. I'm just made up that I took part in it with him, mate.
Yeah, man. Yeah, shout out to Shagun Yellow. Regarding getting him on as a guest, the thing is we have to get a translator. And if
Yeah,
once I can nail that, best believe that I'm going to be getting all kinds of personalities up on here. Like just best believe that. But for
yeah, man,
now, we'll take it
absolutely.
one step at a time. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna put you on now. This ties in really well with what you were just talking about, which is what did competing in the sport of Dembe teach you? I'm guessing the way I wanted to phrase this question was we all pick up fighting for different reasons. There's questions about ourselves we want answered, lessons we want to learn, fears we want to overcome, all sorts of things. Pride, some of us want fame. And I'd like to know what your motivation was. I mean, you've hit it up quite a bit already, but just cap it off with what did competing in this beautiful ancient cultural sport teach you?
Um, to be fair, I mean, some people probably won't understand this, but it taught me a lot about myself. And because I've never seen anything like this. Obviously, I'd seen it when I started watching it before it went over, but beforehand, I've never seen anything like this. It was a new world for me. There was a moment beforehand in the arena before I went to walk out, and Shagon Yellow was tightening the kara, the rope, tightening it like that. And it's moments like that. There's turn back moments. There's moments where you think this is going to be one of them nights. And it really it taught me a lot about myself, who I am, and I bet on the right person. Like I put a lot of I put all the chips that I had on this world on myself to do this. And that moment when I thought it's going to be one of them nights, and I walked out and I seen the crowd and we started fighting, I knew I bet on myself correctly, and I was made up. It taught me a lot about myself and the beauty of people. You can get so much media on certain people, on certain areas, but until you experience that yourself, there really is love out there. And I honestly think it doesn't matter if you're from Katsina or Birkenhead, if you're black, if you're white, if you speak Hausa, if you speak English. There's love there, there's respect there, and that's what it's taught me as well. And if you see me in Shagon afterwards, it was the same then when we were having stuff to eat and trying to, communicate in certain ways. It taught me that there's love and respect there as well. So even though the fighters are vicious, they are true warriors, man, and you can turn at the drop of a hat. But they've also got love and respect, and it's just an amazing sport that the world really does need to look at and get involved in.
Shout outs to the African Warriors Fighting Championship, the world's foremost Dambe promotion, and shout outs to Luke Leyland for putting his money where his mouth is. Kudos to you, man. So, when you say it taught you a lot about yourself, something I want to point out is one of the things that means is you were right. Like you got the opportunity to say you were right about something, not 10 years after you're dead, not 20 years after you're dead, not in your lifetime, within the time span of maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years. You thought about something, you saw yourself doing it, you took the necessary risks, and you made history. You get to look at yourself in the mirror for the rest of your life and say, I bet my chips on myself and I was right. And I think people underestimate the power that that gives you, because it means you can do it again. It means you can replicate it. It means you can be confident about your future to a certain degree, as chaotic and uncertain as life is. And you were right. On this one chaotic day with this crazy ass martial arts, you were right. So kudos to you.
Well, another thing that not a lot of people know is I went over to Nigeria on my own. Okay, I had African warriors at the other end who I'd never met any of them before physically, but I had to do this on my own. I originally did have plans for a person to come with me or another person. It didn't work out, and then I just thought I'm not even going to search for anyone. If this has to happen, and if it means doing it on my own, then I'm going to do it on my own. And that's how much belief I had in myself. I thought if this is a mission that I have to complete on my own, then so be it. And I'm just so made up I did. Obviously, as I say, I had Maxwell at the other end, and I did have a lot of help with my suitcase, and I had poor Aisha running around after me getting stuff and all this.
Shout outs to Aisha.
Yeah. But yeah, I done it on my own because I believed, something really special can happen here, and yeah, I was right.
Yeah, you were right. All right. So, Luke, on that note, why don't you tell the beautiful and handsome people at home what's next for Luke Leyland in fact, what's next for Luke Leyland, period? Dembe, life, everywhere. What's next for Luke Leyland?
That's the big question. I've been asked that most since I've got back. The lovely people of Katsina are like, okay, don't even tell me what's next. Just tell me when you're back. At the moment, I can't say. My original plan and what I would love to do is find another sport that is a little bit undiscovered or not much known about, and take part in it just the same. There's so many sports out there that is almost as old, and they have fighters just as passionate, and they have fans just as passionate, but is almost kind of undiscovered. I would love to do it again somewhere else in the world, in another sport. There's talks and there's rumours of going back to Dambe and things like that, but it's got to make sense to me. Why would I be fighting again in Dambe? It's got to make sense. But I always say never. But my main goal was to go and discover new rare sports and take part in it, and let the world see these beautiful combat sports.
Well, excellently answered. And I think you can, like, because even on the broadcast we're saying it's even last week on the show we're saying it, like, you may very well have just been the pioneer for this new wave of competitors or athletes. Who knows? The future is unwritten. We're writing the future right now as we're having this conversation. And that's the whole point. You may very well have been the first. And to be honest, if your desire in your heart is to explore this world and challenge yourself in as many different sports and martial arts as possible, do you, bro? I will be there to watch and tell every part of your story. Just keep me in the loop.
Oh no, absolutely. And you know what? I've got to say, like, if it's this is not solely about me. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than Shagon Yellow. If people really want to discover something special, go and attempt Dambe. And go out there, win, lose, whatever, but go and experience it, experience the magic behind it, experience what the fighters have to go through, be with the fighters, go meet the leaders of this amazing combat sport, coronavirus, Jan Sander and Yallo. Go meet these people, because you, as I said, you learn a lot about yourself, and just to experience that sport is something special. If people consider themselves adventurers, people consider themselves martial artists all around the world, have a go at Dambe, just take part in it and experience it, man. It's amazing.
That's a kind of tourism that I hope that the leaders of my country begin to explore, which is sports tourism. I hope that we can start to utilize a lot of our natural human resources to really showcase our culture in terms of competition. Like I really think that there are many things that can be done. And like I have a friend who runs a club. It's called Abuja Run Club, and they're just runners from all across Abuja, different cultures, different nationalities, and they just run around the city. And it's a way for them to just experience the city in new and vibrant ways that is good for you. It's healthy as well. So why
Yeah.
not? And doing well. And I think that that's something that you're going to see a lot more of, which is just utilizing sports and athletics as a way to boost tourism, not going out now, like bringing people in. So let's see how it goes. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. Sports and keeping healthy and keeping fit and even just moving, it combats everything. It combats, certain moods, and it's world renowned now for combating certain mental health struggles. So, sports is, I think it's one of them things that can heal the world. I really do. So, why not get involved in it? Like, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Luke, before I let we're on 1 minute and 1 hour and 7 minutes now. So that's I think we've made good time. I told you before the show starts, I'd like you to I'm just gonna play some clips. That's how we're gonna end the show
Yeah.
today. I'm gonna play
Okay.
one clip. I'll play each clip and then I'll let you go off. Just let us know what you think, what you were thinking. And I
Yeah.
have about 5 or 6 of them. So just take your time. There's no rush. This like we're like
Let's roll.
nobody we're not on anybody's time. We're not on any broadcast time. We don't have any advertisers. Take all the time you need. Have a conversation with your boy about what you were thinking. All right.
Do you know what time it is? It's
What
our
time?
time. That's
Yeah,
our
it
time.
is.
That's what time it
It
is. Yeah,
is.
man.
I love that. All right, so Luke, I'm playing the first clip now.
Yeah.
All right, what were we thinking?
So as you can see me there, looking at him, I was basically foaming at the mouth for him. All week, well, all for the past couple of days, I've just been trying to get in his head mentally. The reason for this was, if people don't know, before I was meant to be fighting Shagon Yallo, I was meant to be fighting GB Yansander, who's a who's a champion and uh, quite a famous Danbei fighter. He's very popular. So that fight got called off for some reason, unbeknown to me. He's pulled out, and we didn't have an opponent. Um, Now, before all this happened, Shagon Yallo walked past me in the arena when all the fighters were sitting next to me, and I had a water bottle because obviously it's like sitting next to the sun, and you're on the edge of the Sahara and it's hot. And for some reason, he just leans over and very, very gently pulls me water bottle. So I let it go, and he takes it with him because I thought he might want to, wet his hands or do something. So I just let it go, and he walks off, and then the fighters next to me start laughing. So I'm like, what's going on? And then the promoter Maxwell comes and sits next to me and says, he just took you a bottle of water. And then it clicked. Then I thought is he trying to test me in front of these lads? So I was like, nah, that's not happening. And then Maxwell was like, nah, just leave it, man. And I was like, that's not happening. So I went over and grabbed my bottle of water off him, and I said, this is mine. And he seemed a little bit like standoffish. And I came back and I sat down and I said to Maxwell, I'd fight with him over that. Like, I can't, you don't, in that sort of environment, you can't, you know the score, don't you? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, that's not happening. That's not happening at all. So from there, after that, he said, Maxwell said to me, Jan Sanders out, but we've got another opponent for you. What about Shagon Yellow, the lad who tried to take your water? And instantly I said, put me against him. I'm going to punch his head in. Just for what he tried to do. And that made it a little bit more spicy. I thought, right, okay, every time I see him now, if he wants to play the mental game, I can play it, no problem. So every time I'd seen him, I had a little bit more viciousness in my eyes, and I just wanted to get into his head. And every time I'd see him, I'd shake a water bottle at him and say, come and take it. Come and take it. Little thing. So all right there, even coming into the arena, I'd seen him. And just before the fight, I'd seen him, and I had two security with me with AK-47s, and they were behind me, and I walked past them, and I said, "You're getting it," in a bit more of a vicious.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me, and his eyes were like, he looked straight through me. He was determined, man. And I felt it, and I thought, he's what I've just said hasn't bothered him at all. So getting on that sand, I just wanted to get hold of him. I really did. I just thought, like, now it's no one's running anywhere. Now it's me and you. So you could see, even the announcement that it was me and Shagon Yellow to the crowd a couple of days before. We were arguing in the lineup. You know, we were just at each other like dogs. And so you could see there, I couldn't wait until the referee put my hand down so I can go for him. And that's what you're seeing right there. And I had to calm myself down because I'd been in that moment so many times. And I just wanted to go for it and just to prove that I belonged on the sand. And you know, there was 8,000 people plus. There was people sitting on walls, and you could hear them. It was loud, and it just meant everything to me. Just to let's get this going and let's create history. So you can see there, I was looking at him even when the referee was in between us. So yeah, it was just about just getting it going and let's get it on.
There were 8,000. It was 8,000 seats arena. It was filled up, and there was a video of you and him that the last time I checked the African Warriors Instagram, it had 4.2 million views, and
Yeah,
I think that's insane, man. 4.2
yeah,
million views. Like, I think that's a number that's even just be knowing that I'm associated with that, then even talking about you who is at the center of that, that's really crazy. That's really crazy.
yeah.
That's stuff that you can tell your kids about, like, over every Christmas they hear that story. No excuses.
Yeah, it's nuts. But for me, that's where the wrestling days come in because, like as I said, the more fans you get, the more people you get like looking at this. Like it just energizes me. And even when I was told like there's like kind of I think there was like a national TV station that was recording it as well. I think, and there's going to be so many more people watching it. I was like, brilliant. I love that kind of stuff. The people give me energy, so the
Yeah,
more the
yeah.
merrier for me. I love it. Like you know.
Beautiful, man. And it showed on the camera as well. Kudos to you once more, Luke. All right, so I'm going to play the next one now. So we had a question earlier, and it was from this gentleman. Shout outs to Mr. Uchiaga, who this is my neighbor at home actually. He says, "Don't know if this has been discussed, but I'd love to know if Luke found Dembe more or less technical than he had imagined." And now this ties in beautifully with that clip. What were your thoughts on the technique in Dembe, especially now seeing you and coronavirus do that light spar session there? What were your thoughts? What was running through your mind regarding the technicalities of the sport?
Yeah, going in there, one of my thoughts was I wanted to give the people a good fight, and that's what I really wanted. But coronavirus, the man himself, Mr. Ali, he was always every time. Obviously, there was a language barrier. Every time we spoke, or every time we communicated, he would always do. this, meaning keep your hand up because you don't want to be getting punched. So every time I'd see him, he'd be like this, and that's what he kept telling me. The coach as well was he wanted to teach me a very defensive style. He said you can't rush in Dambe, because you'll get dropped. He said it's a very technical combat sport, and I was like, okay. And my fear was I've seen Dambe fights go 3 rounds and barely anything happened because of the technicality, the technical of it. And because one's waiting for another, and as Maxwell beautifully put it, it's like a bomb waiting to go off. And I wanted to give the fans a good fight, but it just goes to show you can't run in there with Dambe. It is a technical sport, and it is about reflexes and timing and movements. There's so much to it. This is why I think the world will be addicted when they start watching it, because it's not just a let's wrap your hand and start punching. There's a lot more to it than that.
Thank you for saying that, because I've been saying it since I got back from Katsina, and I'm kind of tired of saying it. So thank you for taking that weight off my shoulder.
No problem, man.
All right, so I'm gonna play. So, to our viewers at home, Luke was inducted into House Kudu. And to those who don't know, there are 3 main Dembe houses. These go back as far back as however long our written history goes, which is House Kudu, House Arewa, and House Gurumada. And Luke was inducted into House Kudu. So that was the ceremony, I believe, of his induction. And Luke is about to tell us what was going on at the venue.
Yeah, so we got there a little bit early on, and we seen the crowd fill up, and we had a couple of the fans, the spectators, come over just to engage with me, really, which again, I loved. And the coach came up and said, "It's his kara, which is the rope." He said, "There, let's put your rope on," and he put it on, and what people don't know, and really I should leave it for people's experience when they take part in this, but when that rope goes on, you have to pull it, and it has to be as tight as you can get it, and it becomes that rope, that ball, when it's around your fist, it becomes harder than your fist. It becomes harder than this now. It just condenses everything and becomes like stone. And I didn't know that was going to be like that. And my wrist was so tight and everything. And I was like, wow, I'm actually throwing this round to try and knock another human out. So he wanted to keep it on me for like half an hour just so I could get used to it. And then we had a couple of like commissioners and everything like coming up and just to introduce themselves to me. And there was one lad, I don't know his name or anything, but he came over to me and he went, and he went, Dambatore. He went, and he pointed at his mouth and he smiled and he had no teeth. And then he pointed at the Dambe sand and he went, and I was like, oh, yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, cheers. So I was like, why is he doing that? Everyone started laughing. Everyone found it funny. I was like that, going, oh, man, I don't need this. You know what I mean? But no, I was like, cheers, mate, thank you. And then I seen him a couple of days later, and he was like, so I walked down. There's so many stories like that, honestly. I walked down with the coach, and like it all kind of happened really quick. And I knew I was getting inducted, and I was waving to everybody, and I was with the drums and giving it my best dance and everything. And then they announced me, and then just standing there, it all comes so natural. It was like it was meant to happen. Honestly, it was crazy. It was just so relaxed and just an amazing feeling. And then what I didn't know was coronavirus was going to be there, and he was right next to me, and he was like that, pulling my shirt off as they were announcing it, and then he was, as you can see, getting the other one on, and I just felt proud. And I just felt I have like a kind of have a job to uphold now, because you're not there fighting for yourself, you're fighting for your house. And it was so important to me that I kind of represented the house really well. And you just feel it just as he put that shirt on. I was like, wow, it was it was awesome. And I've got that shirt here, and I don't know whether to frame it or whether to throw it back on and fly back over. I don't know what to do, Charles. You know what I mean? I'm like, what do I do here? But no, yeah,
I
it
think you
means a
should
lot to
frame
me.
that shirt. Yeah, frame that shirt,
Yeah,
bro. Frame it.
it
Frame
means
it.
a lot to me.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Because you and for our viewers at home, please, you've heard made him make reference to coronavirus. Coronavirus is the breakout star, one of the breakout stars of the African Warriors Fighting Championship. It was the co-main event at the King of Dambe event, which Luke Leyland was the main one half of the main event for. And coronavirus is probably one of the most exciting Dembe athletes under the African Warriors Fighting Championship banner. And please just YouTube him after this podcast. Just search coronavirus African Warriors and you'll see his fights and his highlights to come up. Please shout outs to him because he was really supportive to Luke the entire trip. I
Yeah.
actually saw that happen in real time.
Yeah, he was awesome. Like again, it's so amazing now we can't speak the same language, but we had so much connection and we had so much communication. It was just awesome, man. Like he's a leader.
Bro,
As
that's what
I was
love
saying,
is. That's what love is.
yeah,
Love is just it transcends. It transcends all our man-made borders. Love, you can understand love even from an animal. Like so, yeah.
yeah,
Love is just
yeah,
it's
yeah,
that
yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, no, he was awesome. You can sense leadership in some people, and he was a leader. And just what took me back with all of them, especially coronavirus, was the thickness of them, like the neck, like just the like the jaw and like everything about them was just. I was like, wow, these lads are like the modern day Greeks, you know, like the
yeah,
sculptures. They're just like bang, and I thought, wow,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
mountains, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yo. Let me. If we keep talking about it, we'll just keep going. So I'm just gonna play your
I
next one. And now,
know. Okay.
yeah, man, because there's so much to talk about, really. Like from the personalities of the athletes to everything. It's people are sleeping on this sport, and yeah, I'm happy
Mhm.
like I'm happy you're talking about it from first because even my first Dembe show, I commentated in person. I was like, what? The whole world doesn't know that this happens in our
Yeah,
backyard.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
throwing my chips here. I'll lend you guys my voice and let's take this as far as we can because it's magic. It's real magic.
Mhm.
So all right, Luke. Before we get carried away again, we're hopping right into this one. Yo, man, you came in with a game plan, and we're trying to pick your brain before the fight, just trying to get you to spill something. But kudos to you, you were tight-lipped enough not to let anything loose. But you were fainting a lot, even when you threw your right hand. Your balance, you had your feet right underneath you. Your center of gravity was right in between both your legs and your trunk. Everything was just nice and solid. You look like you belong there, like you've said it yourself a few times on this show today that you just felt like you belonged. So that was the opening seconds of that first round. Tell us what was happening in your head.
So just before going out there, I had a obviously a game plan of attacking the legs. I knew if at first I asked a couple of the coaches and the promoter, and I said, can I attack the leg? And then it was no, you can only attack above the waist. And I thought, right, okay. So I thought realistically, these lads have been doing this since generations. The grandparents have been doing it. Their great grandparents have been doing it. How am I even gonna put on a good show and belong on the sand with just attacking? I thought if I can attack the leg, then I might have a chance because if I can slow him down and I control the fight. And then I spoke to the coach, and the coach said, "You can attack the leg, yeah." And I was like, "I can." Does he know that? Because this is something that I'm going to go for. And he said, "You can attack the leg." And I was like, "Okay." So my main goal there was just attack the calf. Well, that was me aim. I think I was a little bit higher than the calf, but it was literally just my game plan was attack the calf a couple of times, get him with the feints, and try and touch that chin. Thought if I can touch the chin, then everyone's got a game plan until they get punched in the face. But as you've seen there, I was about an inch short, and he didn't even look worried. He just kind of went like that, and then back to square one. And I thought, right, okay, this he's obviously not concerned about the punch, but I threw that as fast as I could because I thought I don't want him to see it, because I knew his reactions would be spot on. But yeah, I really thought that the kicks would have done a bit more damage. In my mind, I was gonna go for the calf and slow him down, but it didn't seem to put him off his game plan at all.
Yeah, but the good thing is you showed it, because at least people know now that it's a possibility. It's an avenue that you can exploit to victory. So because I keep screaming it on the broadcast whenever I'm doing the voiceovers, like, people don't utilize kicks enough in Dembe.
Yeah.
You're allowed to punch from only the hand that is wrapped, but you're allowed to kick from both legs. So utilize that advantage. I mean, it's there for a reason. So and I'm happy you did that. Because and you got a big reaction from him as well, from the calf kick. So yeah, good on you. Okay, so this is where we our hearts get broken though, Luke, because this is the finishing shot from Shagon Yellow. And I know you were on the receiving end of the punch, and now you're going to be on the receiving end of the broadcast. So please forgive me in advance, okay?
Let's have a look.
All right. Should we play it one more time?
Yeah, let's do it, mate.
Look, yeah, good sports, man. I'm really trying to push the test of your patience right now. All right, let's go one more. I think it's easy to overlook that even after taking that first right hand from him, you tried to counter him on his way in with the second one. It's easy to miss, even because you slipped on throwing that shot. So yeah, you were the man in the arena. What are your thoughts on how that ended?
So on the way it ended, as I said, I do feel after watching it a number of times, I do feel that I felt like I had a lot to do with defeating myself. Because I overcommitted on 2 punches. I've watched like so many different variations of so many different videos of that fight. It's hard to tell exactly where certain punches were, but what actually happened from what I could see and what I can remember, I'd actually took about, I think, 3 shots from him, maybe more, from the videos that I've seen. And it was when I took the first one, I thought, you don't want to be taking many more. And as I said earlier on, when I took maybe the second or the third, I was on the edge of the ring, and I thought, he's not putting me out. I thought the only thing I can do here is either block or throw. And I thought, if I start blocking, he's just going to wail on me. So I just thought, just throw your best, and if you hit him, I know it's either going to put him back or put him out. So that's when I threw that big haymaker. But unfortunately, I put everything in it. And that was after I took another shot as well. I took a few of them, but I honestly felt like I wasn't near going down, but I felt like I shouldn't be taking much more. When you're getting hit with that rope, you understand you can only take so many of them, and I'm quite proud to the fact that I took a few of them and I still stood. He didn't put me down. He actually said the one sentence of English he said to me when we were both staring at each other a few times: 1 blow, 7 die. That's what he said to me. And I was just like, shut up, you gizzard. We were like both taking a mick out of each other, but he was convinced that he was going to put me down with 1 blow. And it actually took 3 or 4 before the fight ended. And just there, I just thought, I'm running out of options. I'm running out of ring. You're just going to have to throw. But that was 1 of 2, I believe, towards the end of haymakers that I threw. And my hand actually went down, but I don't think people seen it. So I thought, stay strong, stay composed, stay calm. And then when I got a little opening again, that's when I threw another one. But again, overcommitted. And the second one I went down. And I think, it was stopped by the ref or the other commissioner. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it was one of them. Tried my best with it. I just thought if I could just get him on the chin with 1, then it's a game changer. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
Good efforts, though, Luke. Good efforts. All right. So now that you've given us your analysis on how the fight played out towards the closing seconds, I'm just going to play one more bonus clip.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Bature. We have Luke Leyland, a.k.a. Dan Bature. coming in to give his homage to the audience. You can see this is a full house, ladies and gentlemen. Where else will we see this? We have Luke Leyland, aka Dan Bature. Dan Bature. Dan Bature. Let's go, Dan Bature. Making his way to the side there. There we go. That energy. No one is ready. Let's go.
You can hear me going crazy.
Great commentary. I think you've only put that up so you could advertise your own commentary. That was great commentating.
You have me there, Luke. That was my master plan all along.
Yeah, just to be fair, there, I was mixed emotions. Really, I really did want to give the fans more. I felt like I could have kept going there. I really did. I didn't feel that I was on my last legs or anything. I felt like I was running out of the ring, and I felt like I'd given everything in the 2 shots, maybe overcommitted. But I felt like I could have kept going. And when I realised it was over, I thought, okay, he's won. And the way I was brought up was, after a fight, you shake hands. And that was my first thing. I was like, okay, where's Shagon? And everyone was saying, no, Dan Bature, no. I was like, no, where's Shagon? I need to end it all, like, because, we'd been going at each other and I'd been giving him loads of stick. And eventually they realised what I was trying to say with help from Maxwell. And I said, I need to go over and pay him respects. And some videos somewhere of one of the many videos that's out there now, you see me go over and pay him respects. And I actually said to him in his ear, we're brothers now. Well done on the win. And I just wanted to kind of mix with the fans. It got hyped up to a great deal, and I just wanted to be with them, and I wanted to give them a lot more. But it was what it was. The coach led me over to a couple of people in the VIP area to thank, I just wanted to. I'd still be there now if it was up to me with the fans. Honestly, I loved it. It was awesome.
Okay. All right. So, Luke, I think we've done 1 hour 31 minutes, and I think we've covered quite a bit of ground. And I think a good way for us to end the show today would be for you to just take a minute or two of your time, and if you could just cast this out into the internet for whoever will come across it. What's your message to whoever will watch this?
I'd say definitely have a look at Dambe. Have a look at African Warriors Fighting Championships. They're the leading promotion of Dambe. Dambe is not just a sport where you wrap your hand and start beating each other up and that's that. It means so much more to the people of Katsina, to the people of Kano, to the people of Lagos, to the people of Nigeria, and the culture of it means so much. There's so much history here. It goes back over 1,000 years. There's so much magic about it. Go and discover it for yourself. You can watch me do it. You can watch all this and all the media and stuff, but there's nothing like being in an arena like that with the fighters and with the fans. You've seen how they've treated me. Experience it for yourself, because I can guarantee you wouldn't have experienced anything like it, and you'd be made up with the experience. So go out and, do you know what, just believe in yourself. Just be willing to put them chips on yourself, because even if you put the chips on yourself and you go out and do something and it fails, then you should be proud of yourself, because at least you've done something that not many people will do. And believing in yourself is just the start of great things.
Believing in yourself is just the start of great things. Ladies and gentlemen at home, if there is a message we can end the show on tonight, that would be it. However, just because this is I always try to think of everything like you're making history. Like, I like to think of every single day like you're literally making history, and I don't think it would be right if I missed this opportunity to just give you your props, Luke. So I met Luke in Katsina, and we spent maybe 2 or 3 days in and out of each other's company. I watched him compete. I commentated his fight, and Luke is a truly truly special human being in the sense that he truly does believe in himself. he set out this really crazy goal. For people who don't know, Luke had been in contact with Maxwell, who is the founder and CEO of the African Warriors Fighting Championship, for 2.5 years or so, just back and forth, telling him he wants to compete, he wants to try this out, he wants to do it. And yeah, it may have taken 2 years of consistent efforts, but Luke became the first non-Nigerian to ever compete in the sport of Dambe in northern Nigeria. And I think that that is a testament to his legacy. I think that that's a testament to his character, his tenacity, and I feel like it's been a huge honor to have him on the show as our fifth guest on this fifth episode. So, Luke, thank you very much, and it's been an honor.
Oh, the honour's all mine, honestly. I'm a fan of the show. I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of you just your view on things and your mindset. It's amazing. Like, so, honestly, great things will come for this show, and great things are going to come for you, my mate. So, thank you for having me on, and hopefully, I'll be back on at some point with future plans and get everyone back excited again. So, yeah, thank you for having me on, and I look forward to seeing your next episode with whoever you have on.
Thank you very much. And when you make those plans, please, what guys now, you're my homie, bro. So like shoot me all the details, give me all the inside scoops. You're one of us, man. I'm pushing you as far as you need to go. So just let me know.
Thank you, Charles. Means a lot, my mate.
Yeah, man. All right, guys, before we hop off, I need to do the shout outs for the social media. You can see it on the bottom of the screen. You are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Combat Culture Africa. You can also send us an email at combatcultureafrica@gmail.com. My guest today has been none other than the most humble, most amazing, most inspirational guest of the day of the show so far, Mr. Luke Leyland. You can find him on Instagram at Luke Leyland1. Am I correct, Mr. Luke?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay. And he was recently inducted. I've said this like 5 times, and I was recently inducted into House Kudu. That's why you can see Dan Baturi Kudua beside his name on the screen. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go enjoy your evening. Now we're gonna do the countdown, and then we're gonna do the ending, the final closing video thingy. Luke, say peace for the people in 3, 2, 1. Peace.
Peace.
Can we do that again? Let's do that again. 3, 2, 1. Peace.
Peace.
All right, guys. Later.
I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. That's bad.
This is combat culture.